Hello, everyone. Yes, it's Zen here. I'm going to draw a little picture of myself because I think it's cool. Alright, we are here because this is a new segment. This will be a new part of the show. We're going to call it something very special. It's going to be called Addendum, or Addendums. Addendums are like additions to things. In this case, Addendums will cover a lot of specific topics, especially questions that you submit for yourself. But for us, extra material, and then additional understanding, anything that needs clarification, and then my favorite, tricks of the trade. We're going to be doing some of that today. So, for example, what would a trick of the trade be? Well, how about how to name the notes in any clef? You might be thinking, well, that could be really complicated, but really it isn't. So, if I start with the treble clef, I draw it nice and pretty right there. A treble clef has two names. And that's important because one name is, I think, its proper name, and the other name tells us something. All clefs have two names and, therefore, have a clue. Our clue right here is that squiggly circly thing. That squiggly circly part of the treble clef circles around a line in the staff. Each staff has 5 lines. I know my lines aren't straight, but who's to judge, really? We're just doing this concept. That squiggly right there, that's G. That line is G, and we call the treble clef the G clef. That's why we call it the G clef. It shows us where G is. Let's take a different clef. My favorite clef, the clef I started with, the bass clef. The bass clef has another name. We call it the F clef. That's its clue name. So based on the way that it's drawn, it's going to show us where F is. I bet you already know based on the way that it's drawn. We've got a big dot that starts it when you draw it, and 2 dots around a certain line. Yep, that line is F. Easy peasy so far. What if we look at a clef that is a little less mainstream, but still rather prevalent when it comes to band and especially orchestra music? This is something referred to often as an alto clef, but you'll also see it as a tenor clef. It looks a little bit different, but it has the same clue, because it's the same kind of clef. I know it looks like a big B, but I promise you it does not look that way. It got a little sloppy in when I drew it, but you'll be able to get the gist. We call this a C clef. So the big clue is, yeah, that arrow right there. That tells us where C is. Still with me? Good. So far, we've got this, but why do we do this? Well, knowing how to read certain clefs makes it much easier to transpose, makes it a lot easier to read different ranges and different registers, but we need something before we continue. The musical alphabet. This thing has 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it repeats itself, because there are obviously more than 7 when it comes to lines and spaces in a clef, or a staff. But based on what we already know from the clues, we can fill in the rest of the staff. Going up the staff, go forward in the alphabet. Down the staff, go backwards. I will fill in the spaces first in blue. That way we can see where some of the mnemonic phrases and mnemonic words and mnemonic devices that we've used in the past lie. But I'm going to stick with treble and bass clef for now, or the G clef or the F clef, because they are the most familiar so far. We can see that the alphabet is still intact when we fill all these in. So therefore the C clef will follow the same order. It's the exact same sequence. Once you know where one of them is, you can fill in the rest no problem. That's one of the things that you can fall back on if you don't want to bother memorizing these mnemonic devices. If you just pay attention to the clues, you can see where everything is no problem. All of this works. So just remember, the musical alphabet is your best friend. It goes from A to G and then repeats itself. And each clef has a clue. Hopefully that was a lot of help. Thank you for tuning in for this addendum. If that was a lot of help, please hit that like button. It helps out the channel a bunch. And don't forget to subscribe. That also helps out the channel and lets me know, hey, this is making a difference. If you're of the teacher type or you just want friends to know about this stuff, feel free to share. Yep, that is the share icon. That's just what it looks like. But until next time, have a wonderful day. Be well. I'll see you all soon. Bye now.